Yeah, good morning, students. Uh, we'll start electronic devices and circuits, the other topics which are present in the first unit. And we are basically discussing about the introduction part, which is called semiconductor physics. And we have discussed certain topics like atomic structure we have discussed, and energy bands we have discussed, and why silicon also we have discussed. Oh, basically, I will revise all the concepts here. Atomic structure, we have discussed atom, which is a combination of nucleus and electrons. Electrons are revolving around the nucleus, and therefore we have studied different important points over there. Certain few points like attraction forces, energy possessed by each orbit, and what is the combination of a nucleus. It's nothing but a nucleus is a combination of protons plus neutrons, so that's what it is, acting like a positively charged particle, and electrons are attracted towards the nucleus and they are revolving around the nucleus. It is similar to that of a solar system. And if you combine all energies of first orbit, you get a first energy band. If you combine all energies of all electrons present in second orbit, you get a second energy band. Likewise, third energy band, fourth energy band, and last you get a valency energy band, because the last orbit is also called valency orbit or outermost orbit. And therefore, if you merge all the electrons present in a outermost orbit, then you get a valency band. As you see, you have seen energy band structure by combining all these energies of all the respective electrons present in respective orbit. You have taken an x-axis energy and y-axis you have taken the edge of the nucleus starting point. After edge of the nucleus, as it goes upwards, you have first energy band, and still if you go to upwards, second energy band, third energy band, fourth energy band, and the last one is a valency energy band. So after valence energy band, if you slightly give an energy to that electron which is present in valence band, because it is loosely attracted towards the nucleus, then that electron becomes a free electron. So that electron which is becoming a free tends for flow of electricity, which is moving from one point to another point. So here we have studied about how electricity or current flows in a semiconductor also. Only the valence electrons creates conductivity. That valence electron jumps from valence band and enters into conduction band, because it is in conduction state. So therefore that electron tends for flow of electricity. So after that we have learned about three energy band structures. One is valence band and the other one is conduction band, where conduction band energy is very large than that of valence band. In between valence band and conduction band, we have a forbidden energy gap. Forbidden energy gap, which is given by Eg. So forbidden energy gap is the gap between conduction band and valence band, right? Now after that we have learned about three cases where it depends upon energy gap, forbidden energy gap, where Eg is approximately equal to 6 electron volts. Then there is a large gap between valence band and conduction band. Therefore, no electricity, no current, or no electron jumps from valence band to conduction band. Therefore, current is equal to zero. So no current flows in the semiconductors. So therefore, the best examples we have told, carbon and diamond are technical examples, and the natural examples are wood, plastic, duster, chalk piece, whatever it may be, are the natural examples of insulators. Because if Eg is equal to 6 electron volts, then the system acts like an insulator. After that, Eg is equal to 1 electron volt. We have decreased forbidden energy gap. As you go on decreasing forbidden energy gap, what happens? The conductivity increases, because electron jumping from valence band to conduction band increases. So therefore conductivity also increases, and that too we have to give external energy. So this type of systems are called semiconductors. And the basic semiconductors used are single crystal and compound crystal semiconductors. We have gone for single crystal as silicon and germanium, compound crystal as gallium arsenide. We have gone gallium phosphide, gallium arsenide phosphide, gallium nitride. These are all the compound crystal examples we have studied. And after that, we have made energy gap is equal to 0 electron volts. That means there is no forbidden energy gap. If there is no forbidden energy gap, Eg is equal to 0 volts, means both conduction band and valence band gets overlap. If both gets overlap, what happens? The electrons present in valence band goes into conduction band immediately. So just if you give a light energy, very light energy, then very light energy, then only then the electron jump, the electron sorry, the current immediately flows in the conductors. So these type of systems are called conductors, and all metals are best examples of conductors. And one important point we have learned that semiconductors acts like a negative temperature coefficient, or they possess negative temperature coefficient. You know already what is the temperature coefficient. It's a relation between temperature and resistance. As temperature increases, resistance decreases in semiconductors as current increases. But in conductivity, it is not negative, it is a positive temperature coefficient. As temperature increases, here resistance increases. Here resistance increases because of bombardment of electrons, because more electrons are there, they will get bombardment with each other, so they will not move from one point to another point in a very fast manner. So bombardment, due to that bombardment or pressure which is observed in conductors, so therefore electron moves very slowly from one point to another point, so therefore resistance decreases. So temperature and resistance relation is, it's an increasing it's a decreasing increasing function for conductors, because it's a positive temperature coefficient, whereas for semiconductor it's a negative temperature coefficients. These are very very important points for gate exams, right? Oh, now after that we have learned about why silicon is best preferred in electronics. This is a very important point that all of you has to study and need to know why silicon is best used as a semiconductor device, or why silicon is best used in electronic devices. Even this one also we have studied. You can see the structure here, germanium. The structure of germanium here, it's equal to 32. Atomic number is 32 here. Here first orbit it has 2 electrons, second orbit it has 8 electrons, and third orbit it has 18 electrons, and fourth orbit it's called 4. And silicon, whereas silicon it is equal to 2 electrons here, 8 electrons here, and remaining 4 electrons, because its atomic number is only 14, but here atomic number is only 32. Atomic number here is 32. So therefore both the germanium and silicon, its outermost orbit is contained by only 4 electrons. So therefore it's called as a tetravalent atom. If an atom is contained by 4 electrons at outermost orbit, it is called tetravalent atom. Please do remember, it is tetravalent atom. Tetravalent means 4 electrons at outermost orbit. Suppose if only 3 electrons are present, if 3 electrons are present, what is that atom called? Its atom is called trivalent atom. Trivalent. If 3 electrons are present at outermost orbit. If it is contained by 5 electrons, what it is called? If it is contained by 5 electrons, if it is contained by 5, pentavalent. Very good. Pentavalent atom. It is equal to pentavalent atom. Pentavalent. So please do remember these 3 important points. Tetravalent is 4, trivalent is 3, pentavalent is 5. Right? Now here, why we are choosing this silicon as the best material? I told you the differences between germanium and silicon. Even germanium is abundantly available on Earth surface. As you know that germanium is abundantly available on Earth surface. Even silicon is also abundantly available on Earth surface. In the form of what? In the form of sand. Silicon is available in the form of sand, abundantly available in the form of rocks and all this. Here germanium. But here purification process is very less. Purification process takes less time and it is less cost. But whereas here purification process it takes more time and its cost is more. Cost is more and time is also more. Here time is less and cost is also very less. But here, what about the main disadvantage of germanium? It is unstable at higher temperatures. Unstable, because as temperature increases, what happens? It becomes unstable. Here in silicon, as temperature increases, it is stable. It is stable in nature. I already told you what is stability and what is unstable, and I have dealt in last class. Stability here increases. It is stable in nature because it is contained by only 3 orbits. So therefore, last valency orbit is more attracted towards the nucleus than that of germanium atom, because it is contained by 4 orbits here. So outermost orbit electrons are loosely attracted towards the nucleus. So for example, for 10 degrees rise in temperature, only 2 electrons has to come outside. Only 2 electrons has to come outside. But in germanium, all 4 electrons comes outside. But whereas silicon, only 2 electrons comes outside. So silicon is satisfying this condition of temperature. So that's what silicon is more preferred because it can withstand up to higher temperatures, isn't it? It can withstand up to higher temperatures. As temperature is increased, silicon cannot become unstable. It is stable in nature, right? So as for example, we have seen about China mobile phones and Indian mobile phones also. All mobile phones which are made up with silicon cannot burst because they can withstand up to higher temperatures. Even when you talk with your friends for a longer time periods, even mobile phone is heated up. If it is made up of silicon, then there is no problem. Suppose if it is made up of germanium, definitely the mobile phone will burst. Even laptops also, even televisions also, whatever it may be, the electronic goods which are manufactured with germanium, definitely they will burst. But whereas because they are not withstanding up to higher temperatures, but whereas silicon, it can withstand up to higher temperatures because only three orbitals and more attraction force towards the nucleus. And these are called single crystal semiconductors. What about here? Compound crystal semiconductors, for example, you take gallium arsenide. If you take gallium arsenide, if you take gallium arsenide, gallium atomic number is 31, whereas arsenide atomic number is 33. You can see here gallium, it is also contained by 4 orbitals. Arsenic, it is also contained by 4 orbitals. How many electrons are there in first orbit? 2. Second orbit, 8. Third orbit, 18. What about fourth orbit? 18, 20, 28, 3. 3 atoms. 3 electrons are present at outermost orbit. What about here? Arsenic. Is it so 3 means what? It's a trivalent. So gallium arsenide is a trivalent atom because outermost orbit is contained by 3 electrons. What about arsenic? 2 electrons, 8 electrons, 18 electrons, 5 electrons. So at outermost orbit 5 electrons are present, so therefore it's called as pentavalent atom. Arsenic is pentavalent material, pentavalent atom, right? Now let us see, what about gallium arsenide? It is forming a strong bond. If you combine gallium and arsenide, it is forming a strong bond with each other. Gallium plus arsenide is nothing but gallium arsenide. Here, this material, if you come to know about this material, material is not abundantly available on our surface. As compared to germanium and silicon, silicon is abundantly available in the form of sand. Arsenic, germanium is abundantly available. But whereas gallium arsenide, it's not abundantly available on our surface. Not abundantly available on its surface. Please write this point as a note. Gallium arsenide is not abundantly available on its surface. Right. We need to import this raw material from other countries. Right. Here, uh, while we import this one from other countries, we need to purify it. We need to purify this gallium arsenide. Purification cost is very high. Purification cost is very high. Purification cost is very high. Please do remember this point. Purification, if you want to do for gallium arsenide, it's very high, and it's not abundantly available on our surface. The only advantage of gallium arsenide is it is more faster. It is more faster than that of germanium and silicon. It is faster. How many times? Means it is 5 times faster than silicon. 5 times faster than silicon. 5 times faster than silicon. So that's what here it is 5 times faster than silicon. So that is why gallium arsenide is best used than that of silicon, even though its purification cost is high. And even its material is not abundantly available on our surface, so we need to import it from other countries. So that's what we don't exist. We don't have bullet trains or faster trains. Bullet trains, because bullet train, if you want to manufacture, we need to manufacture with a material called gallium arsenide. But gallium arsenide is not present in our country, no. So therefore we need to buy it from other countries, raw material, and then we need to purify it. Purification cost is also very high. So therefore that's what there is no single bullet train in our country, India. Now recently our prime minister has been laid a stone for for manufacturing of bullet train from Gujarat, from Ahmedabad to Bombay. So therefore still we are in the process of constructing a bullet trains, because of the cost of equipment of bullet train is very high compared to that of ordinary trains. So because material is not now available, that is the first example. And purification of gallium arsenide cost is very high, but it is 5 times faster than that of silicon, isn't it? So first, So these are the differences between germanium, silicon, and gallium arsenide. So compared to germanium and silicon, silicon is the best used, whereas compared to silicon and gallium arsenide is 5 times faster than the silicon, but purification cost is very high. So please note all these points, dear students. Note all these points. Comparisons between germanium, silicon, and gallium arsenide. Gallium arsenide is a compound crystal semiconductor, whereas germanium and silicon are single crystal semiconductors. So if you have any doubts in this, you can ask. You can unmute your voice and you can ask. Is it clear, all of you? Dear students, is it clear? If anything is there, you can even chart in the chat box also.
Yes, yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah, if any doubt is present, you can put a message in the chat box.
Okay, sir.
Yes. Now, let us go with the another topic, which is called a simple topic called Fermi level. You might have heard already what is the Fermi level in engineering physics or in intermediate. You might have heard about Fermi level. What is actually a Fermi level? See this structure. We have been already explained the structure here. This is the y-axis. We are taking energy. This is energy. Y-axis we are taking energy, and x-axis I am taking a probability of filling an electron. F of E is called a probability of filling an electron while it is jumping from valence band to conduction band. This is called valence band PV, and this is called conduction band CV. In between this one, it is called forbidden energy gap. The gap between conduction band and valence band is called forbidden energy gap, which is given by Eg. Now, dear students, you can see here the energy level possessed by conduction band I have noted as Ec. The energy level possessed by valence band is noted as Ev. Now, what is F of E? F of E is nothing but a probability of occupying an electron occupying from valence band to conduction band is important, right? So here we need to place, or we need to find a position of an electron with how much probability it is lying in between valence band and conduction band while it is jumping from valence band to conduction band. Suppose an electron is present in valence band here. If an electron is present here, it takes certain energy from atmosphere, it will jump from this point to conduction band, so that in turn it will be replaced here and it will be forming a hole here. That is what the current flow in the semiconductors. As electron is moving from one point to another point and it is jumping from a conduction, a valence band to conduction band, in turn electricity is generated because this electron is nothing but a free electron. Okay, now what is this Fermi level? The Fermi level is a level where 50% of electrons are filled, or a Fermi level is a level, or it's an energy level, or it's an energy band where 50% of electrons are filled in the atom. So here, while an electron is jumping from valence band to conduction band, from this point to this point, there is a level in between valence band to conduction band. So this is actually a level electron which is present here. It has to jump from here to there. So therefore, now in between these electrons will occupy 50%. 50% of the level is occupied with electrons while they are jumping from valence band to conduction band. Where is that 50% means? This is EC and this is EV. In between EC and EV, it's nothing but 50%. This is called 50%. This is called 50%. Half of EC and EV. So this half of EC and EV is a level called it's a level called Fermi level, where here the electrons are occupied with only 50%, but not 80%, but not 90%, or but not 100%. Because while an electron is jumping from valence band to conduction band, all the electrons are filled at one level with 50%. So that level is called Fermi level, right? So it is given by EF. Fermi level, energy level is given by EF. F means Fermi, E means energy. So Fermi energy level is this one, which is occupied with 50% of electrons. What happens? If I increase temperature, what happens? If I increase temperature, more electrons from valence band, because more electrons will be there here in valence band. More electrons in valence band jumps from valence band and reach conduction band here. They take energy from temperature, because I am increasing temperature. If I increase temperature, what happens? You know already that electrons take energy from the temperature. They will jump from valence band to conduction band. So they are jumping from this point to this point. Now this first case is for temperature is equal to 0 degree Kelvin. 0 degree Kelvin, where Fermi level lies at center point. Now what is this temperature? This temperature is equal to at a point called 200 degree Kelvin. So I am increasing the temperature. What happens? See, you can see the curve here. Previously the curve is straight line towards Fermi energy level. Now because electrons are moving or jumping from valence band to conduction band, see slight alteration, because all these electrons which are present in valence band, they are jumping to conduction band. So therefore here electrons become empty and the electrons are filled in conduction band. So that's what the level here. See the level is increased with electrons here, but whereas level is decreased with electrons here, because as temperature is increased 200 degree Kelvin. Now the third case I can go with temperature is equal to 2000 degree Kelvin. 2000 degree Kelvin means it's still temperature has been increased. If I increase temperature, what happens? All the electrons present in valence band immediately jumps to conduction band. All means more electrons will move from valence band and immediately jumps to conduction band. So at that time what happens? See the curve here. There is a difference between second curve and third curve here, because more electrons are occupied in conduction band. See, this is the structure. More electrons are occupied in conduction band, whereas less electrons are present in valence band, because they are taking energy from the atmosphere of 2000 degree Kelvin and they are jumping from valence band to conduction band. So therefore electrons are increased in conduction band, whereas electrons are decreased in valence band. So therefore the curve exists like this. Curve exists like this. So these are the actual important points. How an electron is jumping from one point to another point, that is from valence band to conduction band, as with respect to temperature. And the level, and this level is called a Fermi level, where 50% of electrons are filled in an energy state. So this is the Fermi level. So according to a scientist who is called Fermi Dirac. Fermi Dirac is a scientist. He has given one equation for Fermi level. So according to that Fermi Dirac, because we are finding out probability of an electron which is lying in an respective energy level. So therefore, if you want to find that probability f of e, that is equal to 1 by 1 plus e power e minus ef divided by kt. This is the formula he has been given, Fermi Dirac, where E is called energy, this energy which is present in y-axis. EF is called Fermi energy level, K is Boltzmann constant, T is temperature. Right? So this is the formula we have to use in order to find at what level an electron is present while it is jumping from valence band to conduction band. So we can find it by using this probability density function. Right? So this is about Fermi level. Now suppose I'll tell you f of E is equal to Ef. E is equal to Ef. This is the first case. E is equal to Ef means energy possessed by electron is equal to Fermi energy level. So what is the probability of finding an electron in which energy state it is present? F of E is equal to, student, can you tell me answer? Anyone? at E is equal to EF.
1 by 2, sir.
1 by 2. Very good. 1 divided by 1 plus e power E is equal to EF means EF minus EF. EF minus EF divided by KT. That is equal to 1 divided by 1 plus e power 0. E power 0 is 1. That is equal to 1 by 1 plus 1. That is equal to 2. 1 by 2. That is equal to 1 by 2 means how much? 0.5. 0.5 means how much? 50%. So what I told, Fermi energy level is the energy level where 50% of electrons are filled. See, you got the answer 50%. So here this is the Fermi level where the electrons are filled while they are jumping from valence band to conduction band is 50%. So half of the energy band is filled with electrons. So we have proved it, right? Case 2. Case 2. Case 2. E is greater than EF or E less than EF. Case 2. E less than EF. What happens if E is less than EF? What is the probability of occupied an electron at what energy level? E less than EF. Anyone? Dear students, anyone? Please write all this in a separate notes. Keep a separate notes and write a habit of make a habit of writing running notes. Write all these important points. Now can you answer for this? If E is less than EF, what might be the answer if E is less than EF? What is the probability of occupying of an electron at what energy state? Or what is the probability of occupying an electron if energy is less than Fermi energy level EF? If energy is less than Fermi energy level EF, E less than EF, what is the formula we got? F of E is equal to, anyone? Did you solve it? Anyone solved this second case? E less than EF? F of E is equal to 1 by 1 plus E power. E less than EF means I can assume E is very, very less. I assume 0. 0 is compared to EF. So what happens? I can note this one as E less than EF means, or E minus EF is less than 0. E minus EF is less than 0 means what happens here? I can assume this one as minus E less than EF, or it's equal to minus some quantity value. Minus some quantity, right? What happens? That is equal to 1 by 1 plus E power minus 0. Hello? Please unmute your voice, ma. Yes, students, please unmute your voice. This can be written as e power minus infinity. 1 by 1 plus e power minus infinity. So what is 1 by 1 plus e power minus infinity? E power minus infinity is 0. So that is equal to how much? 1. So E less than EF, the probability of occupying an electron is 1. The probability of occupying an electron is 1 because E less than EF. EF is larger. EF is larger means what value is present for EF here? Minus sign. Minus sign is present. So you get here minus infinity because EF is larger. Larger value means I can take it as infinity. So therefore, minus infinity. E power minus infinity is 0. 1 by 1 plus 0 it is equal to 1. So what is the percentage? Percentage is equal to how much? 100%. So if an electron possessed with energy less than Fermi energy level, then what is the occupied energy state? With how much probability it is being occupied? It is occupied with 100%. It is occupied with 100%. Next, third case. Can anyone tell me third case? E greater than EF. Third case is E greater than EF. Anyone, dear students? Anyone, can you tell me third case? Third case. Third case, tell me, can you tell me? Anyone? What is the case actually for third case? E is greater than F. E is greater than F. Now tell me, if E is greater than F, what will be the answer? What is the answer? E greater than F. Anyone unmute your voice and tell me what is the probability of occupying an electron F of E is equal to?
20.
Hello? Dear students, what is F of E is equal to? If E is greater than F, it is equal to how much? 1 divided by 1 plus E power E greater than F means, sorry, come again. It is infinity or minus infinity? Plus infinity, very good. Plus infinity. That is equal to 1 by 1 plus. What is E power infinity?
0.
E power infinity. Is it 0?
Infinity, sir.
Infinity, it's infinity, very good. E power
Infinity,
infinity is
sir. Yes,
infinity.
sir.
Yes, please write this point. E
Yes,
power
sir.
infinity is infinity. That is equal to 1 divided by 1 plus infinity is also infinity. What is 1 by infinity? That is equal to
0.
0. Very good. 1 by infinity is
0,
equal
sir.
to 0.
0.
Right, now tell me what is F of E? Probability of an electron at what energy state is occupying, it is equal to how much? 0%. 0%. So these three cases are very, very, very important for you. Please note all these three cases. First case is E is equal to F. That means applied energy is equal to Fermi energy level. Then you get 50% of electrons are filled. Second case, if E is less than F, applied energy is less than Fermi energy level, then what is the probability of occupying an electron, occupying an energy state? That is, it is equal to 100% 1. F of E is equal to 1. Probability of occupying a state by an electron is equal to 100% 1. What is the third case? E greater than F. If E is greater than F, then what is the probability of occupying an electron? That is F of E is equal to 0. So these three cases are very, very, very important. Please note these three cases. Note all these three cases. The first case is 50%.
అది కళ్యాణ్ మామ ఫోన్ చేసిందిలే రండి 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 అంటే అది మా బుజ్జత్త వాళ్ళ ఫ్యామిలీ ఆ పిల్ల జ్యోతి ఉన్నాడు వాళ్ళ ఫ్యామిలీ అంతా
Of E is equal. Electron in. Got it, dear students? If you have any doubt, please keep me as a message. Put a message in chat box if you have any type of doubt. If I want me to repeat anything, you please ping me in the WhatsApp group or this one chat box of Microsoft Teams. Yes, ma, any doubts? Voice, ma. Unmute your voice. So this is regarding Fermi level. We'll go with another topic which is called types of semiconductors. Types of
Good morning to you all. Dear sir, one poll question is ready, sir.
Yeah, please.
Please, dear students, please fill this poll. Submit your vote.
Please take this poll, dear students. The poll question is The second poll question is ready. Dear students, please take this second poll question.
Dear students, please give your votes. 3 polls are open for your responses. Please do it carefully.
Yes, students. We'll go with another topic, which is called types of semiconductors. As you already well known about types of semiconductors, there are two types of semiconductors. One is intrinsic semiconductor, other one is extrinsic semiconductor. So what is intrinsic semiconductor? A semiconductor where there presents equal number of holes and electrons. There presents equal number of holes and electrons is called as an intrinsic semiconductor. And it is a very poor conductor of electricity because there are no extra electrons or holes present in order to form a current in the semiconductor. You can observe here, take a silicon atom here, because this is a pure semiconductor silicon, or germanium also you can take. What are outermost orbit electrons of a silicon atom? We have studied already. Outermost orbit electrons, its atomic number is 14. Outermost orbit electrons are, the first orbit it is contained by 2, the second orbit is contained by 8, third orbit is contained by 4, because it's a tetravalent atom. So therefore, you can consider here each silicon atom is contained by 1, 2, 3 and 4 electrons at outermost orbit. And also this silicon atom, it is also contained by 1, 2, 3 and 4. This silicon atom, 1, 2, 3, 4 electrons. Likewise, I am taking a crystal and I am doping that crystal with only silicon atom. So therefore, you can observe here each outermost orbit electron which is present in silicon atom is forming a bond, with the other silicon atoms. You can see here this silicon atom and the silicon atom are forming a bond, and a covalent bond is formed here by sharing the electrons. Here also a covalent bond is formed by sharing the electron. Here also a covalent bond is formed by sharing the electron. Right. This is called as a covalent bond. Sharing of electrons with one another atom which is present in a crystal is called as a covalent bond. And see, this is a bond every time. See, even the electron present here will form a covalent bond with another silicon atom present over here. Here also another silicon atom which will be present, it will form a covalent bond. Likewise, every electron present forming a bond with another electron present in silicon atom. So therefore, here there are no free electrons present over here. All electrons are forming a bond. Is there any free electron? No, there is no free electron in this intrinsic semiconductor. This type of semiconductor is called intrinsic semiconductor, where there is no free electron. Now, if I give certain external energy, so an electron which is present in silicon atom, does it come outside? No, because they are more attracted towards the nucleus. Because how many orbitals are there in silicon? Only 3 orbits. 3 orbits means how much attraction force of the orbitals towards the nucleus? It is very, very large. If I apply a small energy, does any electron comes outside? No. Still, if I apply very large energy, does an electron comes outside from the silicon atom? No, still no. So how much energy I need to apply? I need to apply a very, very, very large energy. A very, very large energy if I apply to this covalent bond, then covalent bond breaks and an electron which is present here comes outside. Electron present over there comes outside. And this electron becomes a free electron. And therefore now the current is existing with respect to this free electron only. Now conduction takes place with respect to this free electron only. So at what energy you have a conduction in intrinsic semiconductor? At very, 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 very large energies. At very large energies, you have conduction takes place in intrinsic semiconductors. But producing or applying this much amount of large energy is very difficult for us. So that's what intrinsic semiconductor, it's very difficult to have a higher electricity or higher current flows in intrinsic semiconductors. Right. So you can observe here, there is one equation where you can represent how many electrons are present over there in this silicon atom means N. It is given by N, concentration of electrons N. This is conduction band energy level Nc. Nc into e power minus of Ec minus Ef divided by kT, where Ec is conduction band energy level, Ef is Fermi band energy level, K is Boltzmann constant, T is temperature in degree Kelvin. So number of electrons can be represented as N is equal to Nc e power minus of Ec minus Ef divided by kT. Right. Similarly, what is the concentration of holes in intrinsic semiconductor? Concentration of holes P is given by P. P is equal to NV, valence band or effective mass of holes in this valence band. So that is given by NV, e power minus of EF minus EV divided by KT. Because holes, the Fermi level, valency energy level is greater than Fermi energy level, so therefore E power minus of EF minus EV divided by KT you get here. The same meaning as that of EF is Fermi energy level, EV is valence band energy level, K is Boltzmann constant, T is temperature. So therefore, now N is equal to P is equal to Ni, which is Ni is called intrinsic concentration of electrons N, P is concentration of holes. In intrinsic semiconductor, N is equal to P is equal to Ni, right? Because number of holes is equal to number of electrons, that is equal to intrinsic concentration. Now you can equate this N is equal to P is equal to Ni here, and you can derive an expression. That expression you get like this: N is equal to P is equal to Ni. You get if you derive, suppose this is N and this is P, equate these two, Nc into e power minus of Ec minus Ef divided by Kt, that is equal to Nv into e power minus of Ef minus Ev divided by Kt. If you equate this one, then what happens is effective mass of electrons and effective mass of holes are equal. Nc both gets cancelled. So what happens? What you get? What you get is minus Ec plus Ef divided by Kt is equal to minus Ef plus Ev divided by Kt. Right? Kt gets cancelled. So what happens? From this equation, you get an equation like this. Bring a Ef one side, Ef plus Ef is equal to, take out this Ec towards right side, Ec plus Ev. So what is Ef plus Ef? 2Ef. So I can write Ef is equal to now Ac plus Ev divided by 2. So in intrinsic semiconductors, where does Fermi energy level lies? Fermi energy level lies in between Ec, conduction band energy level, and valency band energy level. Where is that level? This is conduction band energy level and this is valency band energy level. See this figure? It is lying at the center because it is Ec plus Ev divided by 2. Divided by 2 means where it is lying exactly at the center of Ec and Ev. So this is called Fermi level, Fermi energy level for intrinsic semiconductors. So we have proved that Fermi energy level for intrinsic semiconductors is lying at center of conduction band energy and valency band energy. So that is the formula is Ec, Ef is equal to Ec plus Ev divided by 2. Very, very important derivation. Please note this point, all of you. Note this point. After intrinsic semiconductor, can you guess where does this Fermi level lies for extrinsic semiconductors? Anyone? Can you guess the answer? In intrinsic semiconductors, Fermi level is lying at the center point of conduction band and valence band. Now, can you guess where is this Fermi level for extrinsic semiconductors? It is nearer to conduction band or nearer to valence band? Can you guess it? Are you getting this, dear students?
Sir.
Can you tell me for N-type semiconductors? Nagendrama?
Sir.
Can you put me an answer? Where does for Fermi level lies in N-type semiconductors? It is towards conduction band or towards valence band? Or anyone in this class, can you tell me? Dhanalakshmi? 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 Can you tell me? See, extrinsic semiconductor, since in intrinsic semiconductor there is no current flow. Current flow is very small at a higher energy levels. So, but in our electronics, we need to apply less energy, external energy, and we need to procure more current flows. So therefore, here, what do you see here? That's what we are going for, extrinsic semiconductors, not intrinsic semiconductors. So intrinsic semiconductors are not used in electronics in order to produce electricity or current flows. That's what we are going for, extrinsic semiconductors. This is an extrinsic semiconductor. Extrinsic means what? Extrinsic means anything added externally to intrinsic semiconductor, or anything added externally to a silicon atom or a germanium atom. It's nothing but extrinsic semiconductor. Externally, we are adding some energy to the semiconductors, pure semiconductors. It may be germanium or it may be silicon. So, for example, here I am taking a germanium atom here. Germanium atom, again, it is contained by how many atoms at outermost orbit? 4 electrons. 4 electrons are there at outermost orbit. Now you can see here germanium atom, here 4 electrons at outermost orbit, and adding certain energy from externally to this germanium atom. Previously, you can see intrinsic semiconductor here, instead of B here, you can have only germanium here. You can see intrinsic semiconductor structure here. All silicon atoms are present here. There are no external other atoms. Here silicon, here silicon, here silicon, 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 silicon. There is no external atom added to this intrinsic semiconductor. That's what here energy is, current flow is very less, and higher energies we need to apply externally. But here in extrinsic semiconductor, extrinsic means adding some external atom, adding some external atom, adding some external quantities. Adding some external quantities is nothing but extrinsic semiconductor. So again, this extrinsic semiconductor is being divided into two types. What are they? P-type semiconductor and N-type semiconductor. In P-type semiconductor, this is a structure of P-type semiconductor where you can take germanium atom or silicon atom and dope this P-type semiconductor germanium atom with that of P-type impurities. Now I am adding some extra impurities or extra energies to germanium or silicon. I told you already, if you add some extra energies or atoms to a pure semiconductor or intrinsic semiconductor, then it will form an extrinsic semiconductor. So I can say here intrinsic plus doping, or doping is nothing but impurities, extra energies, doping or impurities or extra energies is equal to what answer? You get extrinsic semiconductor. Is equal to extrinsic semiconductor. So intrinsic plus some doping, some energy, some extra energy, some impurities. These impurities, it may be P-type or it may be N-type. Then you get extrinsic semiconductor. So now here I am going with P-type impurities. What type of P-type impurities we need to add to this germanium or silicon so that more current is flown in the device. Okay, right. We will continue next class because time is up. We will continue this one in next class, extrinsic semiconductors. So until then, please follow this class regularly, and you please read a textbook called Electronic Devices Circuits by Millman and Hawkes Blackpad, so that you will be getting a good subject through the textbook. Meanwhile, if you have any doubts, you can put a message to me, or you can unmute your voice and ask. Okay, thank you students.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.